you see the unique footage of 1969. It's hard to recognize Ilse Jess in this old woman's handkerchief. She visits her husband Rudolf Jess, the Reichsminister Anne, Hitler's deputy, who is sentenced to life imprisonment in Spandau. Jess agreed to this meeting for the first time after a 28-year break.
It was very painful for him to see his wife and son after he hadn't been with them for so many years.
Rudolf Jess is the only high-ranking Nazi who lived up to 93 years in prison. Once a year, Ilse Jess visited him for a date.
People often think that my husband is crazy. Judging by the letters he writes to his family every week, he is absolutely normal.
Ilse Jess survived her husband for 8 years. Until her death, she was devoted to the ideas of Nazism and thought that her husband was not guilty of anything. He was just doing his job.
Everybody has secrets. Mistakes of youth, dubious connections, dangerous passions, dirty money, and bloody crimes. They are hidden in a secret room.
Most of the time Adolf Hitler spent in his favorite residence Berghof in the Bavarian Alps. It is a luxurious villa which the Führer rented for a few years and then bought and reconstructed. There were several dozen rooms, a luxurious living room, a conference room, furniture made of natural wood, marble decoration. The main feature of Berghof was huge panoramic windows. They opened with the help of an electric motor.
Hitler loved Berghof. He said that it was his place of power. He spent all his life there with the people who surrounded him. Eva Braun was always waiting for him there.
Until the end of the war, only a narrow circle of the Führer's close ones knew that Hitler had a long-term passion. Even the intelligence agencies of other countries did not know about it.
Hitler hid Eva Braun for about 16 years from his entourage. No one knew that they had a sexual relationship.
When Hitler settled Eva in the Berghof Alpine Castle, the servant did not immediately understand who it was. The girl lived in a small servant's room and turned to Hitler. The wives of other high-ranking Nazis called her a stupid cow. They did not understand what she was doing next to the great Führer. Hitler and Eva Braun met in October 1929. He was captivated by Eva's age. He loved her younger. He even started a romance with his own niece, Jelly Raubel, who was 19 years younger than him.
They lived in the same apartment. Everyone knew about it. No matter who came to visit Hitler, they saw his niece.
Adolf and Jelly's relationship was full of passion. They were jealous of each other. They were blackmailing each other. Eva Braun saw it all.
It is difficult to say what kind of relationship it was. His political opponents claimed that he preferred abnormal, violent, sexual practices.
In September 1931, Jelly left Hitler and decided to go to Vienna. The next day, she was found dead. According to the official version, Jelly shot herself with her lover's gun. There were rumors that she was pregnant and she could be killed by the Führer's order.
He was a product of incest. He slept with his niece. He was afraid that a monster would be born.
The fact is that Hitler's mother, Clara, married her own uncle, Alois Gruber. Alois was a sadist and beat his children with a deadly fist. Adolf never mentioned his parents. He even took the name of his grandfather, Hitler.
Initially, a sick family and sick parents could not psychologically raise a healthy child. Their whole generation is sexually perverted. Therefore, Hitler could not be normal with such genetics.
He was short and chubby. He was sick all the time. He had long hair and long arms. He had rotten teeth. Why did the whole Germany go crazy because of him?
People of Germany, it's time to think about yourself, about your past, about the achievements of your fathers. Forget the last 14 years of humiliation and decline. Remember the 2,000 years of the great German history.
Hitler's piercing look and aggressive manner of speech hypnotized people.
Voice is a wonderful thing. It gives you an opportunity to imagine anything. Hitler worked on his voice. He was engaged in oratory. He knew what intonations to make. He took care of his voice almost more than his appearance.
He turned his speeches into the theater of one actor. Women saw the greatest politician in this strange man. He conjured them up.
Propaganda and political image of Hitler was drawn since 1933. He was a declared bachelor. He had only one fiancée. It was the German nation.
That's why German women liked the charismatic bachelor. They called him the beautiful Adolf and tried to take care of him. The wife of one German magnate ordered the best suits in Berlin and brought them to the world. The Romanian princess bought an apartment for Hitler's party. She met influential industrialists and bankers.
Women from the upper circles rushed to him and were devoted to him. They came to him and offered their help. Hitler had to make connections and find money.
Hitler tried to be polite and charming. He inspired every lady. He admired her and worshipped her. He never sat first in front of women. He was kind and respectful. He kissed their hands.
He never raised his voice. He always tried to be gallant. It was impressive for the women around him and for all the women in Germany.
And not only for Germany. The British woman, Unity Valkyrie Mitford, was a relative of Winston Churchill. She heard Hitler's speech on the radio and became a fanatical Nazi.
She hoped that he would be liked in the English circles. She believed in the union of Germany and Britain. Of course, it was stupid. He just saw a real Aryan in her. Tall and light-haired, like Valkyrie.
In September 1939, after Germany started the Second World War, Valkyrie's dream about the union of the two countries collapsed. The girl went to the Munich City Park and shot herself in the head.
There is a question that may intrigue today. Did Hitler have a normal, intimate relationship with women?
Hitler had a whole bunch of chronic diseases. He often caught a cold and got to the hospital with pneumonia. It even hurt him to urinate.
His car was so damaged that it sometimes blocked the channel. It was very draining. Hitler also suffered from it.
Eva Braun herself was unhealthy. She couldn't have a normal sexual relationship because of a rare gynecological disease.
She had the Myra-Rokitansky syndrome. It meant that she couldn't have children.
With this syndrome, a woman had a threshold of development of the vagina. A sexual act was almost impossible for her.
She couldn't have sex with a man because she was in pain. If Hitler had his own disease, Eva Braun had her own disease. It is quite possible that they didn't have a normal sex.
Eva Braun told her friends and sisters that they were fine with Adolf in bed. But Hitler's wife, who lived in an Alpine residence, was regularly digging in the bed linen of the Führer and noted that she had never noticed the traces of a stormy night.
Hitler had a personal life. But it was different from what many people wanted and imagined.
Maybe Hitler wasn't interested in a standard sex at all. He was much more interested in the love of all the women in Germany. The love for which they would be ready to do anything. Hitler was everywhere.
In the bookshelves, in the books, for children, for adults. Hitler's portraits. Everyone talked about how great he was. At school, in women's organizations, they studied his speeches, etc. They just saw a strong man who depended on their children, their husbands, their fate, maybe even the fate of the nation.
The Führer received letters from women in bags, and almost everyone confessed their love to him. Many women and girls in love with Hitler became convinced Nazis. Despite the fact that officially women didn't play any role in the political life of Germany, there were many Nazi women's organizations. The German Women's Society and the Union of German Girls. Since 1936, membership in this organization was mandatory for all young Germans.
The girl had just begun to realize who she was and what she was. She immediately got into the right environment. She was told who she would be in the future, what she would do. You are a future mother, you are a future wife. Your task is to provide a family life, comfort, and birth of children.
A model German woman should complement a German man. Their unity means the racial revival of the people. In the early 1940s, the organization had 4.5 million girls. One of them was called Irma Gries. She worshipped Hitler. She dreamed that after the war, she would become a famous actress, meet the Führer, and he would not be able to resist her beauty.
She saw him as an absolute cult of a superhuman in politics in 1,000-year-old Germany, without which the entire German civilization would collapse.
This photo shows Irma at 17. She dropped out of school and became a member of the Union of German Girls. At 18, she became a member of the SS.
Most of the women in Germany believed and trusted Adolf Hitler. They thanked him for the role he played. They were ready to do any job, even as a supervisor in concentration camps.
Irma was sent as a supervisor to the concentration camp Ravensbrück. Soon she was transferred to the Auschwitz concentration camp. And then the girl showed herself in full. She decided to become the best supervisor in Germany. What if Hitler noticed her?
She was a real sadist. She would kick the women with her shoes, poison them with hungry dogs, and sometimes force them to hold heavy stones over their heads until their arms became weak.
This is what Irma looked like 2 years later. They said that it was the dirt that was taking away the women for the gas chambers, and the most beautiful ones. What if Hitler comes from the inspection to the camp? Nobody should be more beautiful than Irma.
She enjoyed torturing people. In addition to a gun, she always carried a whip with her. She could kill one of the prisoners, or kill everyone who looked at her.
She had one more duty. She was choosing women for the medical experiments of Dr. Joseph Mengele, aka Angel of Death. He was Irma's lover. She believed that a perfect German woman should not refuse anything to a German soldier.
She had other lovers. It is known that she had an affair with the commander Joseph Kramer, aka the Beast of Belzec, who killed the prisoners and other SS men. She remembered the purpose of the German woman, so she had a sexual relationship with him. If she got pregnant, she had an abortion in the camp.
Irma sent 30 people to her death every day, no more, no less. She tortured the prisoners by herself. She sexually excited and enjoyed torturing and humiliating them. About 3,500 women served as guards in the prisons of the Eastern Front. All of them were fanatically devoted to Germany and in love with Hitler. It turned out that there was only one step from love to hatred. The Third Reich is called a state of hatred, but the Germans themselves were sure that Germany was a country of love. Hitler was the most beloved person in the state. Every German woman dreamed of him. I love my husband, of course, but my feelings for Hitler are stronger. I am ready to give my life for him. I have only one wish, to be closer to Hitler. These words belong to Magda Goebbels, the wife of the Minister of Propaganda of the Third Reich, Joseph Goebbels. It was a strange couple. Magda was a beauty and Joseph was a monster. However, they were always an exemplary Aryan family.
When Magda told Goebbels that she loved Hitler, he didn't get jealous, because he loved her too.
He could understand her. Hitler pretended to be a bachelor, but the whole Germany was sure that he was a saint of family values. He considered his close circle as a family. He behaved like a head of this family. He approved or disapproved marriages. He took part in anniversaries, baptisms, and namesakes of his children. For Magda, the marriage with Joseph was the second. She gave the first husband a horn with a young lover, a Jew Chaim Orlozorov. Orlozorov didn't leave Magda alone when she was already married to Goebbels. She complained to her husband, and he dealt with the rival in his own way.
They killed Goebbels by order because the murder was strange. A man was walking along the beach. Two men run to him, shoot him, and run away. Nobody understood them.
She had a lot of hobbies. Among the most famous, the nephew of the President of the United States of America, Hoover.
Hitler was Magda's main love. There were rumors that Magda was the First Lady of Germany. This infuriated Eva Braun. They said that Magda not only admired the Führer, but also satisfied his manly needs. Goebbels didn't object.
When Goebbels brought Hitler to her apartment for the first time, Magda fell in love. Hitler made an indelible impression on her.
Hitler also looked at Magda. Only he belonged to Great Germany. There was a serious conversation between Goebbels and Hitler. The Führer insisted that Goebbels should marry Magda. In fact, he ordered, maybe she should always be close to him.
There is a famous phrase about Goebbels. He said that this woman could play a big role in his life, even if he didn't marry her. He didn't want to let her go.
Hitler loved to dine in Magda's company. She cooked vegetarian food for him. Magda was the hostess at all official receptions. Maybe Hitler didn't have enough family. He created her from his closest associates and their wives. That's why Magda's place was always close to Adolf.
She loved him to the end. Her last words were addressed to him.
Magda and Goebbels had 6 children. There were rumors that the Führer could be the father of Helga and Helmut. When Magda quarreled with Joseph, she mentioned it to him.
All the children were called after the first letter of Hitler's name. Girls and a boy. All their names started with this letter.
Joseph wasn't lucky with women when he was young. He was small, ugly, and lame. One leg was shorter than the other. After gaining power, he began to collect women as a possession. Goebbels wrote a diary of his successes on an intimate front.
There is a British historian who counted about 200 of Goebbels' lovers. There are about 30,000 pages of his diaries and correspondence. He wrote a report on his work, starting from the first years of World War I.
Goebbels had a special passion for women with physical defects. One day, he put a one-legged girl in his car and slept with her. One day, he fell in love with his employee and found out that she died of cancer.
I spent years with him at a distance of no more than 10 meters. I saw him almost every day. He often came to the office with the girls and locked himself in the office.
Goebbels always knew how to speak beautifully. He successfully used the art of speech to seduce women.
At a young age, you should have the courage to look into the merciless eyes of life, to renounce the fear of death, to regain respect for death.
During his performances, he had all kinds of intrigues. It's like a concert. A star comes to a city and performs. There are a lot of people in the audience. It's not difficult for the star to show her energy, to show that she is the hero of the crowd, to seduce someone, to sleep with her and to leave. It's over.
No, you won't fall in love with another woman.
Roman Goebbels and the Czech actress Lida Barova had a secret affair. They met secretly on his yacht for 2 years. Then Goebbels realized that he couldn't live without her. Then Joseph gained courage and confessed to everything to Magda. He introduced her to his lover and offered to live together.
At that time, this idea was in the air. about polygamy and about the so-called housewife. One wife, an older wife. The gentleman appointed me his beloved wife. The older wife is a housewife. She is the head of the family. The other wives obey her.
At first, Magda was terrified, but then she allowed her husband to meet Borova. On one condition, no children. But when she found out that Goebbels was seriously thinking about divorce, Magda told Hitler about everything, and he became furious.
If this divorce took place between Magda and Joseph Goebbels, one of the main myths of the Third Reich would collapse. And this can't be allowed.
Borova instantly became a person of non grata in Germany. The press began a huge harassment of Leda. It is not known what Hitler said to Goebbels, but the ex-lover didn't even try to stand up for Leda. The road to the German film studio for the ex-star was closed. The role of the German women was determined by 3 Ks: Kinder, Kusch, Kirche. Children, kitchen, church. Goebbels said, women also wage war by giving birth to children. According to the unanimous rule, Germans were obliged to give birth to at least 4 children before the age of 35. In 1941, Goebbels, in order to increase this figure, prohibited contraception.
Every 2 generations, the population must double. That is, there must be multiple families. And then the future of the nation will be ensured. And this is what women must do. That is, there must be a family. But 3 people is not enough. 3 children is not enough. There must be 4, 5, 6, 10. Such families are ideal.
Martin Bormann had the largest family.
His wife Gerda gave birth to 10 children. We had normal relationships in the family. Mother was a cheerful person, and all the time she was busy with us.
Gerda was the daughter of the chairman of the Nazi Party Court, Walter Buck, an influential and powerful figure. The witness at the wedding of Martin and Gerda was Hitler. The first child of the Bormann family was born in the spring of 1930. The boy was named Adolf in honor of Hitler's godfather.
At Christmas 1939, Hitler came to us and brought me a plastic soldier and a small gun as a gift. It made a huge impression on me.
Hitler did not have his own children, but he gladly baptized the children of his companions. For example, he was the godfather of all the 6 children of Goebbels, and the daughter of the head of the Luftwaffe, Göring, Eddie, gave a dress with a swastika for the baptism. Martin Bormann was a strict father. He never let his children rest during the holidays. He sent them to work at the farm, to help the gardener, to mow the grass for the domestic cattle, to work in the greenhouses, to collect vegetables. And since childhood, he inspired his children with the ideas of Nazism.
I once asked my father what National Socialism was, and he answered me that National Socialism was the will of the Führer. If we replace God with the Führer, then someday we will deal with Christianity. So my father's worship of Hitler was a kind of religious faith.
Gerda Bormann, who was as attached to Nazism as her husband, once wrote to him, "Every child should understand that Jews are the absolute evil in this world, and that they should be fought with any means." And Martin Bormann was absolutely right.
The most terrible thing I saw as a child was a table lamp. Its lampshade, as we were told, was made of human skin. We were also shown the book of Hitler, Mein Kampf, and it was emphasized that it was made of human skin on the parchment. Only then, many years later, I realized that it was the skin of executed people.
In the letters, Bormann tenderly called Gerda his beloved, sweet, dear wife, Mommy, the most beautiful of all women, and infinitely beloved. At the same time, Bormann was not a faithful husband.
Bormann was with a woman. I don't know what her name was. He was in bed with her, right in his shoes and without pants. I was stumbling, then I closed the door and left. If I told anyone that I saw him with another woman, I think he would do anything to kill me.
The most serious hobby of Bormann was a romance with the actress Manny Barons. He did not hide it from his wife and confessed everything.
Sometimes he sent me poetry collections, because he knew that I loved to read poetry, and he himself became interested in poetry.
They could not meet often, but they talked a lot on the phone. In Borman's circle, they noticed that this was not just a fleeting hobby.
They often talked on the phone, talked about all sorts of cute nonsense. This woman had a very pleasant voice. He constantly made compliments to her, and she laughed. She liked it all.
Gerda Bormann behaved like a typical Nazi wife. She told her husband that she was delighted with Manny, so she did not get angry. And if her husband wanted, they could live together, and she would not mind if Manny gave birth to a child for him. Because she seriously believed that in the interests of the state, a man should not be with only one woman. Monogamy is a problem.
Ideology was justified in monogamy. The Germans had excellent genetics, and it was necessary to have as many children as possible.
Bormann did not expect such radical views from his wife. He did not dare to become a double, but continued to maintain relations with Manny until the spring of 1945. Over time, he made sure that he made the right decision to stay with his wife. Manny was not as perfect as Gerda, and often disappointed him. It came to the point that Gerda Bormann called Manny Behrens and tried to explain to her the essence of National Socialism.
At the same time, it meant that Bormann's wife was in love with Bormann and was not ready to leave him. Moreover, she had the opportunity to complain to Hitler that he had a mistress, but she did not do it.
The Third Reich looked favorably on monogamy. The SS officials were officially allowed to have 2 wives. They were also encouraged by casual sexual relations. In Germany, they even opened a special institution called Lebensborn, the source of life.
At first, Lebensborn was an ordinary charity organization. If someone gave birth to children illegally, it was possible to throw them to the doors of Lebensborn so that the child would not freeze. At first, it was so, but the Nazis turned it into a real incubator of the Third Reich. In some department of the Lebensborn program, lonely girls could come and meet the SS people there.
Children from the sources of life were called a gift to the Führer. Only in one of these houses, in 3 years, the Germans gave birth to 540 gifts.
Hitler's task was to prepare a contingent for the new divisions, for the colonization of the East. Accordingly, from the territory of the Soviet Union, first of all, by 1950, he had a task to give birth to 18 divisions of the Black Beasts, according to this program.
After that, husbands were allowed to leave the family in order to fertilize other women. This is how the Reichsfuhrer of the SS, Heinrich Himmler, did it. Himmler was the organizer of the Holocaust. But in his life, he was not like a demon. Himmler was short-sighted, and more like a teacher or a doctor. He received an agronomist diploma and worked at a fertilization plant. His wife Margaret was 7 years older than Himmler. Her parents were not delighted with their marriage. The spouses raised their own daughter and adopted son.
Himmler was the head of the SS. He had to show to the public that he was not just an executioner, but that he was with ballerinas, with actresses, he was in the world routes. He positioned himself as an intellectual. He was not just a fanatic. He was also an intellectual. He wrote some texts, he created meanings, tried to create a new religion.
Himmler was called the chief executioner of the world. His wife was in charge of the house. Margaret was a loud and powerful woman. Himmler tried to avoid her by staying at work all the time. As a result, he had an affair with his secretary, who gave birth to 2 children.
There were different stories. First, the wives knew about these families. They knew about the children who were born in these families. They knew that the second and the third wives and the second and the third families would be there.
Margaret knew that her husband had a second family in which he spent more time. But Margaret actively helped Himmler, led the hospitals of the Red Cross, supported his anti-Semitic views, and even once said that she was proud of him. She organized a meeting for the wives of the high-ranking SS, who were sometimes visited by Hitler. Because of this, she was hated by the wife of Himmler's deputy, Lena Heydrich.
Lena, in my opinion, was one of the most disgusting people in the whole Third Reich. The Third Reich was full of terrible people, but Lena was the worst of all. Lena aspired to become the most influential wife in the SS.
She did not want to remain in the shadow of Margaret Himmler, considering her lower than herself in all respects. She was always trying to ruin Himmler's parties and make her own. A real rivalry broke out between them. Who will get Hitler?
At the same time, there was a lot in common between them. Once Margaret went to the Eastern Front and said that the Jews she saw there did not look like people. Lena, when she lived in Prague, constantly spit on her workers and called them Jewish pigs.
Lena's husband, Reinhard Heydrich, made a brilliant career thanks to his wife. It was she who inspired Heydrich with the ideas of Nazism and helped him to make one or another decision. They also said about Lena that she was poor and greedy.
When he was appointed the administrator of annexed Czechoslovakia, they settled in a luxurious country residence which was confiscated from a local sugar producer. There were a lot of deer antlers in the corridors of the castle. Lena sold them to some factory for buttons. She cut down old trees in the park and sold them as wood.
When her husband was killed, Lena did not worry much. She did not go to funerals. Why would she simply send a plane to Berlin? After the death of one of her sons, Lena collected flowers from his coffin and sold them to the nearest flower shop. As they say, nothing personal, just business.
In 1945, when the Red Army was advancing to Prague, Lena ran away and took everything she could with her into a big van. She even ordered to kill all the chickens and ducks and took them with her.
The most loyal husband among the Nazi bonds was the head of the German aviation Luftwaffe, Hermann Göring. He was a handsome young man and fell in love with the Swedish aristocrat Karin von Kanso. Göring took her away from his first husband. Karin is called the most fanatical Nazi among the women of the Third Reich. She adored Hitler, considered him a knight and a savior of the nation, and often appeared with the Führer as the hostess of the evening. Göring dreamed of a big family and really wanted to have children. But during the beer putsch in 1923, he was seriously injured in the groin. The terrible pain was removed by morphine. A few months later, he became a drug addict.
This addiction haunted him all his life. He would occasionally lick his nails and then start using drugs again. It was an addiction that gradually destroyed him.
Due to drugs and hormonal disorders, Göring became fat and weighed 130 kilograms. Doctors told him that he would not be able to have children. In 1931, Karin died of a heart attack. Göring was heartless. He named his estate after his late wife, Karin Hall. A few months later, Göring found a new woman.
He found an actress for himself. What does a brave soldier think about? He fought both on the outside and on the inside. Now he is in the zenith of his fame. He has everything. He has a luxurious mansion. Who should he give it to? Of course, he thinks about his heirs.
The wedding of Göring and Emmy Zahmann took place in 1935 with a royal scale. In Berlin, the movement was stopped. 30,000 soldiers in festive uniforms lined up along the roads. Adolf Hitler was a witness at the wedding, as well as at many other weddings of his comrades. Emmy had a bohemian way of life and was a real secular lioness of that time. Interestingly, the second wife of Göring headed the committee of memory of the first wife of Göring, Karin.
When Mom and Dad went on a wedding trip, Father pasted a photo of Karin on the suitcase. Probably, there were not many women who could relate to this with understanding. But Mom was a special woman.
When Emmy and Göring had a daughter, Edda, this event was celebrated all over Germany. After the birth of the daughter, Göring seemed to break free. He had everything: money, fame, unlimited power, and any pleasure. He brought furniture, paintings, coins, and old musical instruments to his estate. He built a museum of planes. He started a lion house.
As they say, he lost control over everything. These were drugs. This was the absolute power that destroyed him.
When he was already the head of Luftwaffe, he came closer to the parade. I looked into his eyes. They were like glass. Then I realized that he was under drugs.
Being in a drug frenzy, Göring didn't understand what was going on around him. Hitler tried to talk to him seriously several times. Hitler's words were usually listened to. Moreover, the Führer often interfered in the personal life of his subordinates and associates. He liked to solve their problems. Rudolf Hess, Hitler's deputy in the party, fought with him in the First World War. Later he became his close friend and secretary. He was in prison with Hitler. Most of Mein Kampf manuscripts, they are trying to impose their will on us, but they can't conquer Germany. Germany looked the Führer in the mouth. People, as if bewitched, were catching every word he said. Rudolf Hess, like many others from Hitler's circle, was like under hypnosis. His obsession with the Führer reminded him of his infatuation.
The party is Hitler. But Hitler is Germany. Just like Germany is Hitler, there were rumors that this infatuation was not only platonic. The party members gave Hess the nickname Black Emma. Bormann helped him to find partners for his non-traditional hobbies. Meanwhile, Hess himself had a fan. The daughter of a rich doctor, a student of Munich University, Ilse Prohl. Ilse joined the Nazi party and listened to her lover talking about Hitler.
There was no sex in their relationship. They both drank Hitler's words and discussed the ideas of Nazism. They both hated Jews and dreamed of a great Germany.
They dated for 7 years. Finally, in 1927, Hitler literally forced Hess to marry Ilse and witness the wedding.
She was faithful to him all her life. In 1941, in secret from Hitler, Hess flew to Britain for negotiations. Hitler did not forgive him. But they did not touch Ilse. They even paid her a pension.
Ilse Hess remained until her death in 1995. Emma Göring wrote a book called Next to My Husband. She died in a Munich hospital in 1973. Margaret Himmler married a neo-Nazi, gave birth to 2 more Aryans, and died in 1967. Gerda Bormann left for South Tyrol in the spring of 1945. She got cancer and died of mercury poisoning, which was used in chemotherapy. Irma Gries was hanged in 1945. She did not repent and sang Nazi songs. Eva Braun, Hitler's secret lover, became his wife on April 29, 1945. In 36 hours, they both committed suicide in a Berlin bunker. The perfect Aryan family Magda and Joseph Goebbels poisoned 6 of their children and then poisoned themselves.